The impression the game you get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well, God, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea. He deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the summer game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Ciaran Carey. Carey leading the charge to the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello, and you're very welcome to episode 330 of Treaty Talk. It is Tom Clancy and Matt O'Callaghan here to discuss all the ups and downs. So plenty of ups this week, of course, in Gaelic games in Limerick. We'll be looking at football, ladies football, Camogie later in the piece, but we'll be starting with hurling momentarily. But Matt, you just did mention to me there, and you mentioned to me at the weekend, the sad passing of a great volunteer and a great GA man in West Limerick in the shape of Mike Milan, a native of Fines, I believe, and proudly associated with St. Senans for many years, and unfortunately he's gone to his ultimate reward.
Yeah, Tom, that's true, and the entire GAA family in Limerick was shocked at the passing of the late Mike Milan, and I suppose on behalf of everybody associated with Treaty Talk, I would like to pass a vote of sympathy to his wife and his family, and to the St. Senans club, which he served so well. I got to know him a number of years ago, and I had a couple of interactions with him over the years. And when it came to GA, he was an absolute fountain of knowledge. The GA was absolutely his life. You could say every moment of his leisure time, he and his spare time, he devoted it to the GA and to the St. Senans club. I found him to be a man of the highest integrity, because, as I said, I had interactions with him looking for bits and pieces and this, that, and the other thing. He never ever failed to come up with the goods, and he was so knowledgeable about the game, Tom, and genuinely knowledgeable about the game, and he's left an absolute huge void. First of all, a massive loss to his family, of course, and massive loss to the St. Senans club and to the GA family in Limerick. And Mike has gone all too soon, much too early, and we extend our deepest sympathy to his family and to the St. Senans club.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as I say, to his wife Mary, and indeed his extended family and all involved in St. Senans, we're keeping Mike in our thoughts this week, and hopefully he was looking down, especially on the Gaelic grounds, and even the footballers on Saturday, on 2 fine wins for Limerick. And we will turn attention now to the Gaelic grounds on Sunday, and far better than us, Matt, to be discussing this. We'll bring in 2 people that we're very familiar with Limerick supporters. That's Ciaran, Carey, and Donie, Ryan. Ciaran, how's life with you?
All good now, Tom. All good. Great to be here and great to see you.
Welcome, lads. You're delighted to have you on.
Donie, you're the man. You're the man in the van, Donie, and you're telling us there that a bit of rain is for a farmer like yourself is much welcome now after a tough few weeks.
100%, Tom. Ciaran have done nothing about this now, but the supper rain is badly wanted out around the countryside. So I think Ciaran said there a minute ago, if we don't get rain, we don't get a cup of tea. So myself and Ciaran will be on the same boat in that wavelength.
Yeah, very good. It was raining green, or I don't know what the phrase is. It was raining points anyway and goals for Limerick at the Gaelic grounds. The caption I've put on this podcast, so I might have to change it yet, but Cork were humbled, I think, coming away from the Ennis Road on Sunday. I don't think any of the 4 of us or many more would have predicted the manner of that Limerick performance, the dominance of it, and a 16-point win. Donie, I'll start with you. I mean, like, are we surprised that Limerick are capable of this? Or are we surprised that they did this at this time of the year? What did you think of it?
Well, I'm definitely not surprised that Limerick are capable of it. The one thing that surprised me was that the cockiness of the Cork people on coming into this match. To be fair to John Kiley and his management team, the quality of player that he's under his belt, he was hoping to time he's run a bit better, right? Obviously, the league wasn't number one for him this year, so he was trying to get a bit of game time and a bit of fitness into a lot of the boys. And I think last Sunday, I could be wrong here now, but I'd say last Sunday was one of the first times in a couple of years that he had every player available to him for selection. So when you look at that, I think John Kiley earmarked this match. I'd say this date was up on the wall with a long time off. And no better man than Ciaran to tell you, when you earmark a date and you put it on the diary and you're aiming for that, the quality that Limerick brought on Sunday, it looked very much like this was the match that he wanted to win. And by God, he fairly done that.
Yeah, Ciaran, a spectacular first half in particular, obviously the overall performance, a thrilling first half from Limerick, and going for the jugular as well, like Aaron Gillan's goal, it kind of set the tone. I mean, maybe Tom Morrissey's points before that had done that, but Aaron's goal early on really got the ball rolling and really got real momentum behind this performance.
Yeah, without a doubt. Before I go to that, I want to go back to the clip that you showed. Mike, you man with a straw hat, who said, put the ball over the bat, ball all over the bar, on the back of the mat, and it's all over, whatever he said. No more about it. I met him about 3 weeks ago on the Hearts and Hound. He's still alive, and he's still as passionate for Limerick hurling, and I think he's 91 or 92. He's a serious man.
He's 91. I think it was April last year, 2024, we had a photo with himself and the bowl Tom Ryan celebrating his 90th in, I think, Anton Dex.
Anton Dex and Muldoon Street. Yeah, you're on the ball. And I can remember playing soccer under minor with Geraldines, and Mikey was over Geraldines. Yeah. So it's great to see it. Yeah, but going back to Sunday, yeah, without a doubt, Tom, I suppose, you know, leading into it, I was kind of saying to myself, there's only one team that appears to have Limerick's number, and that's Cork. And I suppose that was evident in the last 2 years at Patches, right? And then going to the Gaelic grounds and sitting down before the throw-in, you're kind of looking around, and Cork travelled hugely. Now, in fairness, Cork team gave the supporters nothing to cheer about, thank God, but they travelled hugely in numbers. And I suppose Donie is right, and Sunday's game was a lot more than a Munster Championship game, if you like, right? And I suppose most inter-county hurlers would have serious pride in their own ability and serious pride in the squad. And I suppose, you know, unfortunately, Cork had a number once or twice, and I saw Sunday as a small bit of payback, number one. Number two, it was a huge statement, meaning they've a small bit more unfinished business to do. And I believe the squad that's there, and you often hear fellas talking how long more should have a lot done. You know, there's definitely 3 strong years left in this squad. That's my own opinion, because of their age. And I suppose if you're going to be winning during that period, it won't be as tiresome, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Which was the first half was awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, it was. You mentioned the age profile. Well, you kind of touched on it there. Some people are quick to jump to conclusions to say lads are maybe over the hill, and it's the same in every sport. When a team stops winning, they say, "Oh, this fella's too old." But the sprinkling of the newer faces along the way has reinvigorated the team. Adam English with a tremendous goal. Obviously Shane O'Brien, not his most prolific day in front of the post, but a real talisman up front and a real target for this Limerick team. And then you've the bench as well. Has the bench and the extended panel for me is something that I kept an eye on. It's always been evolved and freshened up down the years, and I suppose that's been important. While a lot of these men have soldiered in all the championship games, Ciaran, it's been very important that they've kept the freshness, and there has been openings of the door for Cathal O'Neill, for Adam English, Shane O'Brien, and there will be others now as time goes on as well.
Yeah, and as Donie said, you know, you could see in the league, right? The league wasn't a priority. The league was a priority. It's a priority for every team, but for different reasons. And for Limerick's reason, I believe, was to kind of give younger guys game time, let them settle into it, let them get a taste of experience, what it's like at that level. And, you know, they found a few brilliant players, but I suppose Cathal O'Neill was always going to make it. You could sense that, right? Cathal O'Neill would make any inter-county team in the country. But I suppose Adam English deserves a small bit more credit, I suppose. And what I mean by that, and Donie can verify this, when I'm looking back at county teams down through the years, there's only one player that comes to mind that settled in as quick as he did. And that was Brian Corcoran for Cork on his first and second year. He went in, and from day one, he was on it. And Adam English, to me, is doing the exact same thing this year. So he deserves special mention to be kind of setting in as quick as he is, hurling as good as he is for a young kid. And as you rightly pointed out, they've Colin Coughlin, they've young O'Connor, they've Patrick O'Donovan, so they've plenty of ammunition on the line. But when you're winning, Tom, and when you jump the fence like Limerick did last week, especially in the first half with an awesome display, then tiredness goes out the window, doesn't even come into it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, as I said, they sent out a huge statement last Sunday, a massive statement. Not that they were ever gone, but we've more work to do.
And just
Ciaran,
Tom, just to jump up on Ciaran's point there about Adam English, to be fair to the young fella, he's actually one of the players like Brian Corcoran that's coming with the added pressure. He has actually pressure on his shoulders because he's supposed to deliver. There's a lot of expectation on Adam English. Now he's in fairness to him, he's doing his job at the moment, but the expectation around Limerick, if you talk to anyone around Limerick, they all want to see Adam English performing, and he has to perform well every day. And that's the beauty for Adam coming into this team. The opportunity he's getting is phenomenal. So it's great that he's taking his opportunity. And look, to be fair, he's only probably 21 or 2 maybe. Like the years that's in this man, the limit can be anywhere for him.
Yeah,
Ciaran, I was just about to ask you there, the first round against Tipperary, I thought it was very, very indifferent, and I thought it was in many ways a continuation of the league. Certainly the performance in Waterford to a lesser degree, and certainly last Sunday, it appeared light years away at that stage.
It did, Matt, but to be fair, right, and I suppose it's a new year, huge expectations again. Now, it isn't that Liam Cahill turned into Arnie Slot overnight, right? That's number one. But definitely Tipperary have improved. They're a lot better than last year. Now, for 1 minute, I'm not suggesting they're serious contenders. The serious contenders are still the 3 that I think who will be there at the end of the year. So, like, Tipperary was going to shove it on to Limerick if they improved. I don't know, were Limerick possibly ready for that, Matt? Don't fully know. But even if you go back to the Waterford game, the display last week would have won that Waterford game by about 15 points, if you know what I mean. So my point, 100%. We came away with a 6-point win, still hurling within ourselves, if you know what I mean. I suppose we saw a true reflection of what Limerick can do last week in the first half, Matt.
Yeah. Donie, John Carey referenced it on Sunday. The scheduling suited Limerick this year. Now, we were talking, and Ciaran mentioned it earlier on, or was it yourself mentioned it, about having Waterford and Tip as the first 2 games and them away from home. But the fact that we had a fortnight between a couple of the games was a huge plus for Limerick.
Yeah, in fairness, it is. And the schedule was very important for John Kiley because he had the 2 away matches first, Tipperary and Waterford. So he was hoping to build into this championship. And Cork was coming the 3rd match in. But for some reason, John and Paul and their backup team, when they get a break of 2 weeks, the amount of work these boys can do is phenomenal. And, like, if you go back to last Sunday, like, and myself and Ciaran played a different time with tactics and everything. It was man-on-man and you go. But if you actually watch Nicky Quaid's puck outs, I actually don't know, Ciaran, how you defend him, how you can defend him. It's just, like, so the work that they can do and the work that they put in off the field is probably more impressive nearly than what they do on it, because John Kiley and Paul Kinnerk, they always seem to come with something that's going to work. But there is no question doubt about it. So his schedule, I think, he worked on that. He got through the league, as Ciaran said. He played away, played a few boys here and there. The one thing about this Limerick team last Sunday, and we all know this, is there was a question about him. And obviously the boys took it personal, right? It was a massive hurl from him, and they wanted to jump this hurl. The questions were asked, and to be fair to the boys, they answered them. We're halfway through the championship. The beauty for us is, as a supporter, is we're back to seeing the Limerick that we know. So the beauty for John Kiley and Paul Kinnerk now is to continue this for the next 6-7 weeks.
Yeah, and Ciaran, maybe we're lauding the attacking prowess, especially in that first half, but defensively, like this was a Cork team that put up nearly 30 scores on Limerick on 2 occasions last year, and could have scored a lot more goals. Maybe in Páirc Uí Chaoimh could have scored a couple more than the one they did in Croke Park. Limerick only conceded 116 the weekend. Now I know Cork's under par performance has something to do with that, but to a man, the Limerick defence and Nicky behind them, and maybe even the lads in front of him, they defended very admirably. I heard a stat, I didn't get it verified now, but it's Cork's lowest score in a championship match since 2016. So I think that'll tell you about the level of dominance that the Limerick backs held on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, without a doubt. And if you go back to Cork and Clare down in Innis, and in fairness to Cork gave an exhibition in the first half, if you remember. I think they were 10 points up. They absolutely hurled outstanding. Yes. And as I said, last Sunday was more than a Munster championship game. When you're playing at that level, okay, there's always different things that play depending who you're playing. Waterford does a different dynamic. Tipperary does a different dynamic. Clare does a different dynamic. And playing against Cork is always going to be a different dynamic also. And what I really loved about last Sunday myself personally, I believe once your spine can dominate and take charge of the game, meaning 3, 6, 8, 9, 11, out of those 2, 3, 5 positions, we dominated 4. Okay, as you said, young O'Brien, mightn't have had his best hour, but he's still green. He's still getting to know it. Although Flanagan looked sharp enough, didn't score a whole pile, but looked sharp. Like Dan Morrissey was awesome at 3. Kyle Hayes was on a different level at 6. Adam English, awesome, and Keane was in a different level. So once your spine is flying, the rest is going to come. But on top of that, I think possibly the bit of freshness also what might have come, like Keane's captain's role and how he's playing. He doesn't have to say anything, just do the chirping with the hurling. And if he's singing an old tune, the rest will follow. That's the way it kind of appears to be, right? And, the minute he gets the ball, there's 2 or 3 going everywhere, right? And he's a playmaker and his vision. So that type of play that they're playing as well, it's going to keep the whole thing fresh. But on top of that, you have serious competition now also for positions. So, and I suppose in the past, Donie, people would have been talking about the Kilkenny training sessions, right? And how competitive they were. Yeah. And I suppose there isn't a whole pile of chirping about ours, but I would suggest ours is equally as, what's the word I'm looking for?
For us.
Training session is equally as ruthless as Kilkenny was back in the day. So once you've all that at play, then automatically freshness is going to be flying.
Yeah. Donie, before you say another word.
Just a little flick on. Opportunity suddenly arises. Back in the net. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Limerick. Adam English with his second goal of the Munster Championship. Scored a goal against Tipperary. Scored a goal against Cork.
Donie, that's 2 players there in that clip, and obviously there was more before it. 2 players firmly in tune with each other, firmly in tune with their hurleys in the case of Ciaran Lynch in particular, and I suppose firmly in tune with what they wanted. They know they were going for the jugular there. Very easy for Ciaran Lynch Donie to flick that over the bar there, but you know what? He saw the opening, and Adam English obviously saw it too, and they took it. It was a superb goal. Have we lost you, Donie? Go on, Donie.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Look, yeah. Ciaran is dead right there about Ciaran Lynch. Like, you're looking at Ciaran Lynch play. In fairness to Ciaran, what he's doing with the hurling ball at the moment, sure, like if you were at home training in the backyard, you'd be any chance of these things. But Ciaran's first thing in his head straight away is, can he split the defence? And he's actually one of the best fellas in the country that can split a defence with the ball. And Adam loves that ball. He loves coming off the shoulder on the outside, and he can take it. And his skill is so good then that he can weave and go through, like, and he's striking left or right in. He done that for Doone all of last year. He's been doing it for the last couple of years. But I would 100% agree with Ciaran there. Like, once your spine is going well, like, go back to club teams even, you need to get your spine right. If you're hurling well down the middle, and to be fair to Limerick, what they have down the middle, like, it's very hard for other teams to compare to what we have down the middle. And we're just very lucky that Dan, Kyle, Adam English and Keane then are on top. The 4 of them are on top of their game at the moment. So I would be definitely thinking that. I think it was a long time ago we were always told about hammer the hammer. It was a statement that was used in Gaelic terms. And I think John Kiley went to hammer the hammer on Sunday. We were all listed about how many goals Cork were going to get. But they all forgot about, I'd say Kiley made a kind of a priority that we'll go for him as well at the far side, just to see what we're made of, or what they're made of, you know. I felt in the Tipperary match above, when Cork played Tipperary, when the man was sent off before the match, Tipperary actually created a few goal chances. They didn't take them, but they created a few goal chances that day. So I'd say John Kiley probably spotted that Cork will, if Cork go toe-to-toe with you, the opportunities will come up for these defence-splitting passes, and we have boys that are able to spot these. So definitely, without a doubt, there is definitely goals in our team.
Yeah.
And Tom, can I ask Donie a question there, just to see would he be in agreement with? See, would he be in agreement with me with this, right? And if I was to be nitpicking here now, and that's what I'm doing, right? And looking at the success that we had, and if I had to nitpick in that, the only area where I would be nitpicking would be with the type of player, the type of skill, and the type of speed that we have. I believe we should be hanging 3, if not 4 goals nearly in every game. If I had to be nitpicking, because we're that good up front.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, they're there. They are there. I suppose, Ciaran, it goes back to your opposition. Then you said about Tipperary offer a different dynamic, and Waterford offer a different dynamic. Waterford were kind of contented to play Tadhg de Borca and the D, and they were quite happy not to concede goals. Cork will go toe-to-toe with you. Kilkenny will probably go toe-to-toe with you. Clare go toe-to-toe with you. So when a team goes toe-to-toe, and the options and the opportunities will be there.
Really,
you're talking about player. We're talking about player. We didn't even mention this fella yet, but an Aaron Gillan inside in the full forward line. You have a great advantage with an Aaron Gillan, because he will always be your out ball. If the boys can do whatever they like around the middle of the field, the half back line, half forward line, and if the pressure comes on and you need to deliver one, Aaron Gillan, he loves, in fairness to him, the man will take the ball anywhere, high, low, he doesn't matter where he is. If he's out at the corner flag, as you see last Sunday, he'll bring it in and he'll stick the ball in the net. If it's inside in the square, he'll win a penalty. If it's a high ball in, he can catch it. The range of options that we have as a team, definitely, Ciaran, I think you could see more of it. You could see Kylie advise them to go for the juggler and say a bit more.
Yeah.
And come here, it was good. It was also good to see, and he was due an old big game now, right? And at times you're looking at him, you start a training session, watching their Sunday. It was good to see Garrod Hegarty kind of coming back to himself as well.
Garrod and Tom were massive games.
Massive games.
Ciaran,
how do you think that John Kiley is kind of nearing a settled team now in view of the line out against Waterford and again last Sunday? It'd be very hard to break into that first 15.
Well, if you are to break into it, Matt, you have to be approaching training as if it's a championship match for yourself personally, right? That's number one. And I suppose the big thing there for Sunday, okay, Aaron Gillan got the start, got a great goal. Okay, the defender fell in, he went, and he took it, right? But I suppose before all of that, everything needs to be right mentally. And it was obvious Limerick were bang on it. To answer your question, Matt, extremely hard, but there possibly might be a position up for grabs in around the forwards in time. And it all depends then, Matt, who's going to be bold enough, ruthless enough to put their name up. And as I say, that's going back to the type of training that Limerick will have in probably nailing their teams. I said about Kilkenny, it'll come down to that. Really, if you want it bad enough, then you need to deliver the goods in training. It comes down to that at the end of the day.
Plus, Ciaran, you've Peter Casey coming back into the frame, and sure, he's definitely going to put a bit of pressure on someone of them down along the line. Sure,
and as I said, Flanagan, in fairness, yeah, you're right with Peter Casey, yeah. And Flanagan, in fairness, Flanagan, when he came in last week, I thought he looked sharp, and I don't know what his orders are, right? But for me, Seamus should be asking the question every time he's the ball, because he is a fella 6'2", and he's fair quick. So Seamus is at his best actually when he's asking questions of the defender, ball, drop the shoulder, and cut inside him. I believe that's when he's at his best. okay, it looks nice for Seamus getting the ball over the left shoulder, over the right shoulder for a point, but there's a lot more in Seamus Flanagan. And I think when he grabs it, going forward will take some stopping.
And to be fair, Ciaran, the young fella from Ballybrown, Aidan O'Connor, all year in the league, even he's been consistent all year. He's come in and he's chipped over with his point. He came on below with water, but he got his point. So Aidan O'Connor is busting for an opportunity as well. So sure, it all has to all go well for going forward. It
is, and Donie, without sounding too, I suppose, big-headed now, right? But Aidan O'Connor, Cathal O'Neill, and possibly Seamus Flanagan, I'd imagine, would break into the rest of the county teams in the country. So that will give you the severity that Limerick's panel is, how good it is. Sorry, Matt.
It no problem, Ciaran. It teased me up lovely, actually, to ask the question. Will a lot of these guys get a start next Sunday against Clare?
Matt, if John Kiley takes myself and Donie for Sunday, we're ready to rock and roll. My point there is it's a perfect match for that. Do you know what I mean? It's a perfect match for Declan Hannon, Coughlin. You know, me personally, they might probably hold on to about 4 or 5 regulars, sprinkle the lot in again, because you won't get the opportunity again.
Yeah, Cathal O'Neill.
Well, in fairness, though, Matt, the other guest you have on today, if he wants to roll back the years and take us back to the flight of the brigade, is it the old brigade or whatever it was? If he wants to score a point,
leading the charge of the light brigade,
leading the charge of, there's no, like, we will go in and watch that, no problem. If he wants
but Donie and Ciaran, there's no one is allowed to play inter-county hurling now. What size hurley was that, Ciaran? It looked fairly long now. Was it 37 or 38?
No, hi, come here, hi, Tom twadding back in the Flintstone ages now, man. Chill out there, will you?
Donie, did you try in your luck with the Masters at all?
No, Matt.
He kept the phone on, but no call.
We can get insurance. I'd say insurance could be our problem for the Masters, I'd say. No, Matt. Unfortunately, we had a very busy spring, so I didn't. But I will give it a rattle at some stage.
Well done, Don. Good stuff. But come here. It appears to be Tipperary. They really appear to be going home for these over 40 hurling Masters, aren't they? They're setting the tone big time.
Jesus, Ciaran, their panel of players, they really take it serious. They really take it
serious.
Do,
man. They're like the Tyrone in the over 40s football. Same thing.
Yeah, fair point. Someone said to me before, if you're on the Tyrone football team and you're 43, the over 40s team or the Masters is, if you're 43 or 44, you may forget about it. Like, you know.
Funny enough, Tom, I played 2 years with the over 40s football, right? And there's 3 grades. There's the top, the middle, and the bottom. So we were faced in the middle. So we got to the final, but Carey and Tyrone, who were the top tier, were playing after us. And I have to say now, there wasn't much in it looking at the physique of the senior players now and those guys. Very similar.
Yeah.
Fair play to them. Yeah, fair play to them. Back to matters more pressing, I suppose. This Clare match, lads, it's a funny one in that while Limerick are not officially in the Munster final, it would take an almighty result against them that if they lose by 25 points, I think it is, not to make it. So we can more or less say they've 1 foot and 4 toes maybe in the Munster final. As we're saying there, they can switch it up. It's a strange dynamic though that Clare have been dethroned of All Ireland champions, and yet they have to march into the Gaelic grounds now and try and put up a good fight. It's a dynamic maybe that when we saw the fixtures we didn't see coming. Maybe we thought it was time for this would be a big game in the context of the group, but it turns out it won't be. I'd say we might have lost Donie in the storm of Knocklong. Ciaran, do you want to pick that up there in terms of Clare coming in with nothing to play from that point?
Without a doubt, Tom. And you know what now, Tom? It probably opens up a lot of questions in around the All-Ireland champions, right? In a way. Because, you know, when you're All-Ireland champions and you're bouncing the following year, you know, you want to kick again and you want to show why you were All-Ireland champions. And for Clare this year, that wasn't the case. Like, and you'd have to question, okay, and I did question because I was at the match, like, and okay, we won't get into the ins and outs, and I don't want to be giving out about anybody, but okay, they got a handy one for want of a better word, right? Okay, and I suppose up to now this year is giving me confirmation that they got a handy one. Because if they didn't get a handy one, they'd be hurling like All-Ireland champions do the following year, is my point. But going to the Sunday, it's going to be very tough for them not to grant the game come in. But having said that, and to make it worse then, they won't be playing the full team. Whatever about them coming with a kind of a bit of a mission and putting up some kind of a match, they might get some motivation if it was a match that meant something. But they'll know deep down it's a dead rubber match for Limerick. They're going to take it handy. Not take it handy, but they're going to use it for various reasons. And they will smell that and know that. So it's funny how it's after turning out, because it could have turned out probably for both counties, it could have been
do or die,
their future this year. But it didn't plan out that way, as a lot of people thought it might have had. But it didn't. So it's going to be difficult, obviously, for Brian Lohan and his squad, to get up for this game. But it's absolutely tailor-made for Limerick, their management, to release the panel members and let them at it.
Give them their chance. Yeah, it's important, Ciaran.
I had a sense now on that very point. I had a sense last year that in many ways it was a last hurrah for Clare. Like they have a number of players that have seen an awful lot of championship hurling, have seen an awful lot of senior hurling, and and maybe on the wrong side of 30. And I thought this, and you had exceptional player, you had some exceptional performance last year, and I'm talking about the like of Dermot Ryan, who missed most of this year. Shane O'Donnell, of course, Tony Kelly, and you had David Fitzgerald, and it just didn't seem to work for Clare this year, I'd say. And I agree with Ciaran that you're All-Ireland champions, and you bust a gut to try and defend it, but that didn't seem to happen this year. I think Clare were very, very poor in the league. It carried over into the championship. They had one good 40 minutes, one good 35 minutes, I'd say, this year. Like they only won one game in the league, and that was against Limerick. But they had one good 35 minutes, and that was the second half against Cork. Now that was aided and abetted by Shane Barrett being sent off with 15 minutes to go. But I agree. Like that, like their defense, the defense of the championship of their crown was very, very brittle and fragile, I thought.
Yeah, I agree with you. And obviously then, Matt, as the year was going on, right, and we saw the incident with young McCarthy, he told the free taker, right, and all the airtime that got, right. So there was obviously different types of dynamics at play as well.
Yeah,
that you don't want to, I suppose, normally as a management team to be dealing with extra weight like that, for want of a better word. So there was obviously a few little question marks at play.
No, you're right there. There was enough to be dealt with without having that coming down the track here at this stage of the championship, midway through the championship. Like, because your title was on the line after losing to Waterford. And suddenly the Tipperary game became a must-win game in Innis. It was your last home game in Innis. And then you take your chance when you go to Limerick.
And Matt, and you're right. Like, in fairness, their second half performance, right? And you're right about Barrett, okay? But they still had to come, still had to produce. And, like, to be fair, right? And I remember that day, I remember feeling after the game, are Clare starting a new trend now with Duggan and Danaher? And what I meant by that is balls from the full-back and half-back line.
Twin Towers nearly inside,
Yeah, correct. Because they got so much joy out of it. So I was kind of wondering, I said, will this be their new tactic going forward? And I was kind of looking forward to it, see how it planned out. But I'd have to say, like, they had huge momentum from coming back that day against Innis, ready to go again. And they just didn't.
They didn't, no. And, like, I was reflecting on it today. They've only won one competitive match since the All-Ireland final. And that was the league game against Limerick. They haven't won another game.
Yeah, the mood music can't be good.
You must remember that they came into 2025 as double champions, league and All-Ireland champions.
Correct.
Can I give you this stat, lads, that I saw it on Sunday? Since Tipperary defeated Galway in 1989, so basically since the 1990 championship, only 3 reigning champions have exited the All-Ireland at the earliest possible juncture. Clare in 1996, thanks to Mr. Carey there. Clare in 2014 in the qualifiers, they lost to Munster and then they lost the qualifier. And Clare this year in the round robin after 3 games. So as a county, they have not been able to back up one success with another. Obviously, we were even Limerick in 2019 did not win the All-Ireland, but they still came back, won a Munster championship, were within a whisker of making an All-Ireland final. And obviously, even this year now have already shown that they're be able to bounce back from heartache, and there has been bumps on that Limerick road as well, Ciaran, along the way. It's Clare could possibly say the injuries and this and that, but Limerick have had their injury troubles. They've had little issues in the panel as the years have gone on, but as a management team, as a county board, whatever it is, they have been able to deal with that, and it's been fairly seamless now. Bumps in the road have been minor by comparison, is what I mean, I suppose, overall, and that's a sign of some great management here in Limerick.
Yeah, without a doubt, Tom. And to be fair, and Donie alluded to it earlier on in relation to John Kiley, Paul Kinnerk and their backroom team. I don't think there's any backroom team out there that will lace their boots because they're so ahead of the posse in everything. And in fairness to Limerick never cried wolf about injuries, because at the end of the day, no bank will cash that in the modern game, right? Because the squads are so big and the ability is so good. There's always someone there to replace somebody. So Limerick, in fairness, don't ever and have never kind of said, we're missing this one. Like, that's an opportunity for another player. But the hallmark, really, Tom, of the personnel that Limerick have, and more importantly, the hallmark of the type of character that Limerick have, we all saw it firsthand last Sunday. That's the bottom line.
Yeah,
you're dead right there, Ciaran, because over the years since he became manager back in 2017, if you asked John Kiley about a player being out or we're missing this one or that one, he's a stock answer, next man up.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
Which is what it is,
Yeah, look, the game Sunday.
About Clare, it mustn't sit very well with Clare to win an All-Ireland last year, having been beaten by Limerick twice on the way.
I don't know. I don't think they'll bother. I don't.
In a tournament.
Yeah, I don't know, Matt. I think they'll count it the same as any other one. In fairness to them, but
it will count the same as anyone.
Yeah,
but I know what Matt is saying, though. And Tom, I know what Matt is saying, right? And to be fair, right? And at the end of the day, the history books will show in 2024, and they'll also show in 2019 who are All-Ireland champions. Do you know what I'm saying? But I suppose we know deep down, with a tiny bit of luck, either way, we would have crossed the line, But, and I suppose, likewise, Tip didn't come in 2020 either. So there's more confirmation, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes, yeah. It was, and Limerick in 2020, it was obviously COVID. It was a long time after Tip had won it. Limerick comprehensively defeated Tipperary, and maybe backed up that Limerick were on their way. And didn't
what's your take on Tipperary team to minute? What do you think of them?
What do I think of them?
Yeah, how do you think they're shaping up?
They're true anyway.
I think they're much improved.
Mm.
And in terms of the development of Tipperary, I think it was absolutely crucial that they made it through to the All-Ireland series.
Mm.
Because were they not to make it through to the All-Ireland series, I think the progress that they've made through the league and in the championship, I think would be all for naught. So you could see the palpable sense of relief that was in Thurles last Sunday when they had made it. It's getting over a hump. Now, I thought also, Ciaran, that winning the league was for Cork getting over a hump, because in the stage of development that this Cork panel are under Pat Ryan, they needed to put silverware on the sideboard. But I think it was hugely important for Tipperary now that they're going to get a run in the All-Ireland series, and they are improving. There's no question about it. And they have won the Munster Under-21 Championship. They're in the All-Ireland final. They have a couple of players that are doing both. Yeah, young McCarthy and Sam Farrell, and the third lad, he got a goal the other day. Oisin O'Donoghue.
Yeah.
So I think Tip are coming, Ciaran. I think I think the Tip revival is for real.
Yeah, I'd be the same. Yeah, as I said, I wouldn't be putting them down as serious contenders yet, but I believe Cahill hummed. Like, I put it like this: when you see Tipperary playing now, hurling means something. Whereas when you saw them playing last year, they were lackadaisical. their body language is poor. They didn't appear to be interested. So I think Cahill probably went back to the simplicity and the fundamentals of the game and the characteristics that's required here first, ever before you cross any line. So I think he's nailed all that, and he's bearing the fruits for that at the moment.
Where do you think Cork are at now, Ciaran? Pat Ryan has a huge job of work this week to pick him up, but I suppose the best thing that's happening for him is that they go again next Sunday, get it out of the system as quickly as possible.
Yeah, without a doubt, Matt. I'll be honest where I see Cork. I see Cork potentially down the tracks being a serious threat.
Yeah.
I do. If you go into last Sunday, right, and if you take Cork and Cork last year, Limerick, Cork in Limerick this year. Now, take away both of those comfort zones for both counties and put them into a neutral venue and let them at it. That's where the huge learning is going to be. Cork aren't the poor team overnight, okay? They're not, far from it. I would still see Cork as a serious threat, as I said, down the tracks. I felt last Sunday, whatever team lost anyway, will still come, is my point.
Yeah.
Pat Ryan doing. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. They're not gone away.
No, far from it.
If we think we've seen the back of Cork after last Sunday evening, we're deluded.
No. And I think, Matt, I think also more importantly, right, we're having a discussion here. But I think more importantly, the Limerick squad, the Limerick management are also aware of that deep down. In fairness to Pat Ryan, that same squad has been there, the same personnel are there before Pat Ryan came, the majority of them. Yeah. But definitely Pat Ryan has improved a lot of them. Timmy O'Mahony, the way he was playing, forget about last Sunday, but prior to last Sunday, is a completely different player than 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's one of many now, to be fair to Pat Ryan. But I'm a bit like you, Matt, down the tracks, they're going nowhere, and potentially they could be a serious threat down the tracks, but that's way down the tracks.
Yeah,
they're not gone away.
Just to lay it out, lads. In facts, they'll either be gone from the championship or we'll play them in the Munster final. And then obviously, if they're still in the championship during the Munster final, we'll be on opposite sides. So the only other 2 times Limerick can meet Cork this year is in a Munster final.
So Tim,
and then
Tommy, you're right in saying if Cork wins Sunday, so are they in the Munster final?
They are indeed, and they'll be coming back to Limerick, to play Limerick.
Oh, perfect.
Ideal.
So,
but my overall point is, as you're saying, Ciaran, a neutral day, obviously, which is Croke Park, what you're referring to, the neutral game there would be the All-Ireland final, because they'll be on opposite sides because it coming out of the Munster final. So it is set up for it. Now there's many more hurdles to jump for. But maybe just before we let you go, Ciaran, I know we've other business to discuss here ourselves. This run in Munster, I mean, it's maybe been because of the All-Ireland and the drive for 5. It's probably been, I wouldn't say ignored, but maybe isn't getting the credit it deserves. Limerick are heading to another Munster final, 6 in a row last year, heading back. Even though this is as competitive as ever we've seen Munster. Everyone is throwing the kitchen sink at Limerick day in, day out, but they still every year into the top 2, into the final and win it. It's incredible, really, isn't it?
Yeah, serious. And even at the start of the year this year, your first championship game was a Saturday. I think it might have been Galway and Kilkenny. I think in the following Sunday, the next day, you had the first round of the Munster Championship.
Correct.
And sitting back and taking stock, right? 2 totally different games. Totally different level altogether. And it is not happening.
I fell asleep to the Galway Kilkenny one on the couch anyway, I'll tell you that for
now. But I just don't want to, I don't want to be hard on them on it, but 2 totally different games. The Munster Championship, Tom, has always had its own type of history to it, right? And that hasn't changed. And Limerick know and still know you need to save hay while the sun is still shining, right? And thank God their players are experienced enough to know all that. Okay, eventually, whenever down the tracks for many years, there'll be a small little bit of a hold-up, right? Whatever way of a hold-up. But this squad is special. They've proven they're special, and they've proven that in the past. They've proven that last Sunday, and they can still do it going forward. As I said at the start of the year, at the start of our conversation, I believe myself personally with the way the management are working and sprinkling in a few little players, because every one of them to a man are minding themselves meticulously. I believe, okay, and I know Matt said an age earlier on. Age is different for everybody. I believe there's a good, strong 3 years left in the squad. At their ease, like. If you go back to, take Horrigan now, in fairness, right? Nobody, 37?
Horgan is, what's he, Matt? 37, 38 even? 37,
yeah. And to be fair to him, at the start of this year compared to last year, two different boys. He's way better this year, way sharper. I go back to Tony Brown, Waterford, half-back. Well, he was about 35, 37. Whereas other players that might be 32 or 33, their legs might go overnight. So everybody is slightly different, is my point. But if Limerick continue in the vein that they're on off the field, how to look after themselves and in training, like, as I said, who's the oldest player there presently at the moment on the team?
Well, Nicky Quaid is of the starting team with Declan Hannon, and then there's a lot of guys sprinkling around 30, Gerard Hegarty,
that's
William
my
O'Donoghue,
point. And
Diarra
that's
Burns,
the point.
just they're only
That's the
30,
point they're
31.
making.
Yeah.
And in fairness to Nicky Quaid, he must get a bit of a mention now as well, because he pulled up an absolutely vital stage there, vital save in the first half, right? And the only thing now, to be fair, Limerick, you know, you'd allowed a small bit. They probably got a bit complacent at times in the second half. In defence, we kind of left Cork back, but overall, I have to say their first half performance, Tom, was absolutely, as they say in the States, awesome.
And off the charts.
Matt, any final remarks with Ciaran, or we'll be looking forward to a Munster final anyway?
No. I trust his judgment. I remember you and I having a conversation, Ciaran, in Bulgadin Castle in early 2018, and you told me definitively Limerick would win the All-Ireland.
What month was that?
I can remember being off the ball in 2018, I think it was. And actually, I'm on record and saying what I said was back then, Limerick will outdo the Dublin footballers in hurling. And bar that hiccup in 19, balloons burst. Do you know what I mean?
I do know a Tipperary podcast which will remain nameless. I think they had a clip of you, Ciaran, saying I think Limerick they'd only won in 18 at this stage, and you were kind of predicting that there was a bucket load of All-Irelands, which I suppose we already have, and I think they were kind of laughing at you, and you know. I
think, Tom, all right, I only saw that for the first time last year. I think they were taking the PO to me. That was fine, no problem with that.
Yes.
You know, and I suppose everybody sees it and views it different. But you could see, and you can still see that, like, you know, they don't come along too often. There's such a special squad in Limerick. And I suppose there's times we've to be grateful that we're here, we're witnessing it, we're seeing it, and to be grateful for that, because, you know, they only come once in every, I don't know how many years.
Yeah, I just to finish with that, just Matt, we always get that point off John Kiley, and it is sincere and it is genuine when he says how much the Munster Championship means to them. Like, they've won 6 in a row. He was involved in 13 when as a selector when they won it. He will treasure that medal this year if they get it, of course. Again, like, I mean, it you know, he's not looking beyond Munster every year, like, and I think that's the humility that comes from the top down in this group. Like, they still, like, Munster Championships are so valuable to them, and they don't want anyone else winning them. They want to see that Limerick Roll of Honour growing and growing and growing, and it's like it's phenomenal to see. But look, hopefully we're heading for the Gaelic rounds if it's Cork, and I think we're heading for Cork if it's Tip. So work that one out. But anyway,
somebody told me today if it's Tip, we're heading for Thurles.
Oh, is that true? Sorry, maybe I've got my wires slightly crossed, but yeah, it'll only be in Limerick if it's Cork anyway. But we'll see what comes out of it Sunday. But look, Ciaran, you've been very, very generous with your time on this Tuesday evening. I think Thunder and Lightning has taken Donie out of it, maybe to get a few animals in out of it. But we'll thank him for his time as well. And I'm sure we'll be chatting to you again as the year goes on, Ciaran. And great to have you here on this Tuesday afternoon.
Great to talk to you, Tom. Great to see you too, Matt. Mind yourselves. God bless, man.
Thanks a million, Ciaran.
Okay.
You're welcome,
Okay. Yeah, great to have Ciaran there on for a chat, and Donie as well before him.
He's every bit as astute a pundit as he was a hurler.
And quick-witted as well, of course, with it too. You know, it isn't.
Absolutely.
Doesn't miss a trick. Yeah. Just to I suppose wrap up the senior. I suppose we're saying the combination there. Look, Limerick are barring an absolutely crazy result, are in a Munster final. We'll have to be keeping an eye on Páirc Uí Chaoimh on Sunday at 4:00. We'll keep one eye on that. 4 p.m. throw-ins for both of them. We'll keep an eye on Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and we'll see then if Waterford win, it'll be Limerick versus Tip, and if Cork win or draw, it'll be Limerick versus Cork. So look, it's a great position to be in.
Today, Tom, it will be very interesting to see what the turnout in the Gaelic grounds will be on Sunday.
Yeah. Look, I think up to 40.
I'm sure the Clare allocation of tickets will hardly be absorbed. So
no.
It might be an opportunity for a lot of Limerick people to get to the Gaelic grounds and see Limerick playing.
Yeah. I met. I was in the shop on Sunday morning about what time was it? Was it 1 o'clock or maybe a bit earlier? And I met a couple of I would consider Gaelic games fans, and the youngsters, only teenagers, and they couldn't get tickets. It's great to see in one sense, but when people are missing out, he said, "I'll watch on the TV." But there's an opportunity now this week. There should be no shortage of tickets for anyone.
I don't think there will be a mad scramble. Well, there'll be a scramble in Limerick, but there'll
be plenty to go around.
Let's put it like, if we were going to Innis out of the championship.
Yeah. Let's call it a spade a spade. There would be a certain cohort would go, and let's be real, not everyone would go. Look, so that's it. It's Sunday 4 p.m. and then after that it'll be Saturday the 7th of June, Saturday evening Munster final. So we'll know that come Sunday evening what the permutation is, what the venue is, and we'll be looking forward to those as they come. Matt, just to stay on the hurling topic, the minor hurlers have their fixture for this weekend. They are in All Ireland. Is it preliminary quarter final? I'm getting
it's a preliminary quarter final, Tom.
Yes.
And
heading to third.
Were they to win it, it will pit him against. I presume the losers of the Leinster Championship, if they win.
Right.
The losers of the Leinster final. My apologies.
Yes. Yeah. Which is so sorry. Limerick this week are playing. I can't even think of the fixture now. They're playing Wexford, is it?
They're playing Wexford this weekend at 4 o'clock in Thurles on Saturday.
Right.
And
part of a doubleheader,
the Leinster final is being contested between Kilkenny and Galway. So were they to win, I would imagine it would be the losers of that, or perhaps it might be an open draw,
Yeah, I'm not sure what way it went last year, but look, it's good Limerick weren't in it last year.
They are playing Dublin.
Yeah, so that's the third and fourth from those crossing provinces, and then we'll see.
The third and fourth in Munster play the losing semi-finalists in Leinster, and the rationale behind that is that we don't have semi-finals in Munster.
Yes, okay.
So it is like for like.
Yeah, I assume so. The provincial winners straight into an All Ireland semi-final, and then you have two quarter-finals. You have, we'll say, the winners of Limerick and Wexford versus maybe the Leinster runners-up. It might have to be a draw. Look, because you could have two Leinster teams or two Munster teams coming out, or whatever way it'll be. They'll have to have a draw for it. But look,
Limerick. There's a bit of a disparity in this now, Tom, in that Limerick have been idle for a month, and whilst Wexford have been playing, they only played their semi-final last Sunday in Portlaoise, when they were beaten by 7 or 8 points by Galway, and what will the layoff do? How did Donie O'Grady and his management team fill the space, or will it give them an opportunity to recalibrate? Like, reflecting on the Munster Championship, we got that vital win over Tipperary, and we certainly were certainly in the running with Cork. It all hinged, I suppose. I'm not so sure we'd have won it, but it all hinged on a fantastic save by the Cork goalkeeper. And from the clearance, Cork got a goal at the other end. So it was a 6-point change in literally 30 seconds, if you recall. Now, I thought we were very poor against Waterford. Tom, you were with me there.
Yeah, we were. Like, it was a decent first half of Ireland, but it was like, I think you used the phrase, kind of emptied the tank and had no gear to find in the second half.
I put it to Donie O'Grady after, like, they were playing against the wind, and was it level or a point down?
I think it was level. I think it was, or maybe even a point down at worst. Yeah.
There was fears that we did empty the tank in the first half, and that was proved to be so. And against Clare, like, we were not that terrible far off it, but it would be nice now to get a second win of the campaign over Wexford. Now, Wexford, they beat Laois in the quarter-final. They were put to the pin of their collar by Laois, mind you, and they failed against Galway. Now, they do have about 5 or 6 players that were involved in the championship with Wexford last year, which, Tom, as you know, is a very strong cohort to have in any team carrying over from one year to another, because these are young boys at 17 years of age, and to have lads that have been through the mill, as it were, sprinkled around your team, it's very important, like guys that know the ropes, but you'd be hoping that they would put up a good performance, and they must have an equal chance of beating Wexford.
Yeah, that's it. Wexford should hold no fear to Limerick anyway.
No. I see no reason why not. And I can't remember when we played Wexford last in the minor championship, but I do remember, and I'm not ashamed to say, I do remember the 63 minor final, which I think to this day was the highest scoring final in history.
Go on, tell me the score. I'm googling it here now as you speak.
Limerick scored 6-8 that day. I think Eamon Cregan and all those guys were playing,
Right.
Was it 4-17 to 6-8?
This was on the 1st of September 1963. Wexford, captained by Willie Burney, with their first minor win. Limerick, captained by Eamon Cregan, the runners-up. And the All-Ireland final, if I can just find it here now, lower on the page. Bear with me a second.
6-8 in one of the scores anyway, I think.
6-12 to 5-9. So there's 11 goals and 21 points.
6-12 to 5-9, yeah.
Yeah, and Limerick won the semi-final match, beating Roscommon on a scoreline of 5-13 to 1-1 in the Gaelic rounds in August of 63. So I don't think there'll be too many teams before or since will have scored 15 goals in a game. But anyway, maybe the structures were quite right at the minor grade.
You see that at that time there was it was nothing more than a token Connacht championship, because Galway, I think at that time, were in Munster, because I think Limerick beat Galway in the Munster championship that year.
Yeah, Roscommon, Leitrim, and Mayo contested the minor Connacht.
It was nothing more than a charade.
Yeah. But Limerick, just looking at Limerick, actually that year beat Galway 2-11 to 4-4 in the Munster quarter-final. They beat Waterford after a replay 2-9 to 2-5 in Nina in McDonough Park, and then the Munster final they played in the Gaelic rounds 4-12 to 5-4 winners over Tipperary. So
I was at that particular game. Yeah,
went on then to beat Roscommon by an absolute cricket score, and then unfortunately losing out by 6 points on the day.
Yeah, Tony Jordan was playing for Wexford the same day.
Yeah, geez, I couldn't think there's been too many times Limerick have played Wexford. I don't ever remember Limerick playing Wexford at minor level. That is, of course.
It's in the back of my head that they played them. Like you must remember that until recently the Munster Championship was knockout.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
No.
And then even then it was only 2 teams coming through as the finalists, and Limerick went many years without getting to a final, etc.
We didn't win a minor championship from 65 to 84. And then we didn't win a minor championship from 84 to 2013.
Right.
So there weren't many opportunities to play Wexford when it was a straight knockout.
Yeah, well, Wexford have only won 8 Leinster titles now. They've lost 26 finals as well. But yeah, there can't have been too many crossovers there. But look, anyway, that's the job at hand on Sunday or Saturday at 4:00, isn't it, Matt? Sorry, I'm mixing up my
Saturday at 4:00 in Thurles. It's part 2 of a double header preceded by Clare and Dublin. I think at 2:00.
Okay. Well, hopefully Donald O'Grady and the lads can put in their best performance of the season and get another day out for all connected. So best of luck to the lads. Had we hurling, Matt? We have
the Celtic Challenge, Tom.
Celtic Challenge, sorry, staying on the under-17s. Yeah, Celtic Challenge.
Limerick are in the All-Ireland semi-final of the Celtic Challenge, and they're playing Cork Whites in Clarina on Saturday at 12 noon. Now, I have a bit of a beef about this, Tom.
Let's hear it.
The Celtic Challenge in itself, in its initial formation and in its initial format, you played the group stages, and you were seeded 1 to 4. If you finished second, third, and then you were going into a group. You were going into all the seconds from the different groups went in together, all the thirds, all the fourths. Now, lo and behold, we're playing Cork Whites for the second time.
Yes.
How that has changed, and more importantly, why it has changed. But this is the kind of old stuff that's going on.
Well, I thought my understanding of the ethos of this competition was to, first of all, it wasn't aimed at the likes of Limerick, and not that Limerick are not involved in it, but it was aimed at other counties that are not maybe as predominantly hurling, and it was to give them an opportunity to play. It might be their stronger minor players playing against Limerick. Obviously the Limerick Limerick minor team or not. You know what I mean? You'd have a Kildare team. You'd have a Kildare team, or you'd have a Kildare team or a Carey team or maybe a Fermanagh or whoever. And they'd play. They'd get to experience playing against Kilkenny teams and Limerick teams and Cork teams.
They'll say that he's an old fogey now, looking to try and turn the clock back. But I'd like to know why it was changed and who changed it,
right?
And at what level it was changed. I would like also to know the same thing about Failing the Gale. Like, if you have something that's working and doesn't, why fix something that's not broken?
Yeah.
That's my view on it. Well, that's the rant for today. But look, we're confronted now that Limerick are playing Cork Whites. Now, I saw him playing Cork Whites in the first round. And
that was in the Crescent Camp, was it?
Cork Whites won 3-13 to 1-13 in Charleville. Now, the Limerick goal came late in the game, but there was a striking contrast in the game, Tom. It was striking. The manner in which Cork took their opportunities and Limerick didn't. Because Limerick did have goal opportunities, particularly early on. And there was a bit of bad luck as well with their opportunities, but they didn't take them. So I wouldn't be too worried about what happened in the first round. Cork subsequently they had beaten Clare, they beat Limerick, they subsequently went on to the quarterfinal. They beat Tipperary Blue in Clare. Now, I think Limerick made something of a statement victory, Tom, a statement win in the quarterfinal. Like when they travelled up to Kilibia-Canty, is it?
I think I won't give it a go, but go on anyway.
That's meant to be English, by the way.
They went up the road. They went up the road and they won a match.
To play Galway, and won it in extra time. So that'll give you an idea of the resolve. Now that type of resolve didn't surprise me in the least when I saw that the way they battled against Cork. I knew there was a good reservoir of resolve in that squad. So I'd be hopeful, Tom, that they may get into a final.
Right. Yeah. Well, look, let's see what I can do. So on Saturday,
these are players, by the way, for listeners and viewers that are outside the academy system. They're under 17 players that are outside the academy system.
Yeah, they're not on the
academy.
They're not on the 36 of the minor panel, but Limerick GA as a whole will be keeping an eye on these lads and seeing who's progressing. And
there was one or two there that I was quite impressed with,
Yeah, well, let's see how they go out. The Masters hurling, Matt, I don't think we have a fixture from them yet. I haven't seen it anyway.
No, but we have. It's the footballers this week.
Yes, we'll come to Masters football.
The hurlers had a good win over Cork. No, I think that was the Masters' first win in hurling.
Yeah, I don't think they won last year, but I think we've wrapped everything there in hurling. That's the minors, the Celtic Challenge, and obviously the seniors. So hurling, we'll move to football. So Matt, I think probably next sport to call, and a fairly good time to be supporting Limerick football. A long trip to Antrim. You and I did not make it, but I'm sure we were gleefully accepting the victory, and 118 to 110 victors in Antrim puts Limerick into the knockout stages and sets them up nicely heading into the last round to possibly win the group as well.
Yeah, the outcome of the result, Tom, is that it guarantees Limerick a preliminary quarter-final place, a preliminary home quarter-final place, with still one game to go. Now, were they to beat Westmeath, it would guarantee Limerick a quarter-final place, as distinct from a preliminary quarter-final. And Tom, I think, are those quarter-finals at home?
If you win the group, you get home advantage, as Limerick did against Laois 2 seasons ago. Yeah, so basically they have a neutral game with Westmeath. The winner will go into a quarter final and get home, and the loser will go into a preliminary quarter final.
At home.
So it's at home as well. Yeah, so it's ideal, really, isn't it? I mean, this is what you would have wanted to start out. Like, Westmeath have looked impressive, but so too have Limerick, Matt. They've they've swatted aside London and Antrim.
Let's reflect on Antrim, Tom. I thought I thought Limerick had a real chance going up there, Tom, and I will tell you the rationale behind that judgment is in that in the Ulster Championship they had a very, very good first half in Corrigan Park against Armagh, but they conceded 120 in the second half.
Yeah.
Then they went to Mullingar in the first round of the Talton Cup and conceded 424.
Yeah,
so
pretty porous now so far, it seems.
Yeah, I felt that they were pretty porous, and that Limerick, have the players. We saw it against London. Like, when Limerick got clicked into gear, they got some fantastic scores, and it was much of the same against Antrim. And I knew if they found that kind of form, that they'd get a good result. And it was a fantastic result, like, it is the continuation, Tom, of a season that promised so little after 2 rounds of the league when we had only 1 point. Before going on to win Division 4 and promotion, had a decent performance, you would have to say, in the Munster Championship against Cork, and now have a very decent Talton Cup to date. So, like, Jimmy Lee and his management team, they're doing an excellent job like, he hasn't been immune from injuries, to key players, but they've just got on with the job, and like, they're building something. They're building, let it not be not said, Tom, the manner and the influence of Ian Corbett.
I was just going to say a goal from a penalty, I think it was, and a 2-pointer as well, and another point from play.
And named on Team of the Week. But this guy, when you think of the injury that he sustained.
I was going to say that was career-threatening for Club County, wasn't it? Very bad hamstring injury. Very bad hamstring injury.
Most fellas that say, God, I've enough of this, will walk away from it. Why should I put my body on the line? My God, the manner in which he has come back, and the quality of his play, the quality of his influence, that hasn't diminished one iota. And congratulations to him on being named on Team of the Week, and to the hurlers as well. There were 6 of them named on it. And let's vote for Cian Lynch for Hurler of the Week, But if you talk about a secret weapon, Tom, the form of Ian Corbett is to me is exactly that. I think he's been fantastic. Like, you and I both saw him in the game against London. He was totally dominant in his area.
Yeah. And what about the full forward line, Matt? I think 6 for James Naughton, 3 for Danny Neville, including a 2-pointer, and another 3 for Peter Nash, if my records are correct. That's pretty potent.
Are absolutely correct, and
that's 12 points from your inside line. That's not to be sniffed at,
No. And it was a game which Limerick didn't score, but he was brought down for the penalty.
That'll do you, yeah. So
we'll take that.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a little bit still in the bank. Like, there's a little bit of a little bit of a balance still in the bank,
I wonder at what point will maybe other journalists around the country start thinking that Limerick are contenders. Maybe I wouldn't go that far, but that they are going to be a very tough nut for any team to crack in this. Like, I mean, there's You know, they've proven it in the league. Like if you go from the start of May 2024 to now, Limerick have lost to Sligo away in the quarter-final of this competition last year, and they have lost to Cork in the championship, and they've lost to, the Down. Even so, since that Down game, they've lost 3 games, and they've won, is it something like 8 or 9, you know, in all competitions. They've only lost narrowly to Wexford, lost to Cork, all right, and they lost to Sligo last year, like, and half those teams are Tailteann Cup teams that they've beaten, like, so they're.
What I say, Tom, is that they keep that they remain in their cocoon of bliss,
and anonymity, yeah.
And let us get on and do the football. Let the football do the talking.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a gap week this week for them after the long trip to Corrigan Park, and then it's a neutral game. I don't think we have a venue just yet, Matt. I presume somewhere around Portlaoise, maybe.
Portlaoise, Tullamore has been mentioned, you know, but
they have to line up the logistics. But
that's I would propose Thurles. We played them in the All Ireland B semi-final in Thurles last year, but
so it'll be Saturday the 31st or Sunday, May the 1st. June the 1st, I should say. So it'll be the last weekend of the month, basically the bank holiday weekend. That's when.
Tom, you and I will not influence where it's being played.
Yeah, well, they could play it hopefully in Newcastle West or somewhere. We won't object, but right. Let's see.
So I'm not going to be racking my brain with it.
Keeping on the football theme. The Masters are back in action after an hour defeat to Carey in round 1. They're heading to Clare, I believe, this weekend, isn't it?
They're heading to Kilmehel on Friday night, Tom, and they're taking on Clare. In Kilmehel. Now, you're right, Limerick lost the first round, but Clare won the first round. They beat Cork in Lissie by something like 5 points. Like, it seems that there's a big turnaround in Clare. Now, we've beaten Clare for the last 2 years, Tom. And I think at one stage last year, did Clare give a walkover or two later in the championship?
Right, I don't recall those now, but
I have an idea. But Clare, they didn't root up any trees in the last 2 years. But they've got off to a very, very good start with a statement win over Cork in the first round. So it's going to be a tricky contest down there in Lissie. But you know, the Limerick have a total of 6 games in total. The next game is against Waterford away, so we have 3 away games in a row. Then we're at home to Leitrim Longford, and then we're at home to Wicklow, and we complete our programme with a game against Mayo at a neutral venue.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So. Probably a good time. It'd be a nice time to start picking up a couple of points now. You don't want to be.
Yeah, well, we qualified for the Spirit Cup in the last 2 years, and we won it in the first year, and we were beaten in the semi-final last year. So, like, we have a decent record in this competition, but you know, it's going to be difficult if you're going to lose your first 2 games.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, it's an important game. Kilmihil on Friday evening. Is it a 7:30 draw?
7:45.
7:45 sounds like a soccer time. 7:45 in Kilmihil GA. So for Limerick, Galway man in the middle as well. So hopefully Limerick can improve on the Kerry performance and maybe pick up a couple of points. It's a big weekend match for the Limerick ladies football. They're in Munster Senior B final action. They're heading for Mallow again, trying to defend their title, and we've reasons I suppose to be optimistic against the Banner, who did beat Limerick in the group, but Limerick I think will be smarting from that and did bounce back with 2 good wins since that opening round loss.
Yeah, it was particularly impressive win against Cork because Cork had a very big win over Carey, and Clare struggled to put Cork away. It was played in Clodove actually, I think. But Limerick went to Ballyvorney last Saturday evening, like, and had a very, very good win over Cork, and it was last Saturday week actually, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah,
And,
was the week after.
and are back in the final. They won the final last year. They beat Cork in the final in Mallow, and they're back there against Clare this Sunday, and it's on at 12 noon. Now, things seem to be coming together for Mike Quilligan, Sean Kiley, and the squad. They were dogged, of course, as we know. They consolidated pretty safely in Division 3 this year, which was a major boost. But they had issues with injuries during the Munster campaign, and happily now that they're all cleared up. Like Rebecca DeLee, who was injured, came back for the second half against Cork, and you guessed what? A trademark goal.
Yeah,
holds the net. Debbie Murphy, who was sick against Carey and sat out the Carey match, she came back. She got 6 points, and so you can see the importance of those two players. I think Bex sat out the Clare match as well, and very significantly, and it's great to see her back after 12 months out. Lauren Ryan is back. Lauren Ryan from Adair is back, and she made a cameo appearance against Cork in Ballyvourney, and obviously now is available for selection for the Munster final. But significant development, Tom, that has happened over the last 2 games has been the arrival into the squad after a protracted transfer process. And why that should be the case, which this is going on, Tom, since February.
I'd say January even, Matt, is it? Because I think we were made aware of this player from January. Yeah,
it took until now to transfer Tara Gagan from Donegal to Limerick, where she is based. She's going to the college, and of course, most of her family are originally from Limerick anyway.
Yeah. She'll be lining out. She'll be lining out with Munster St. Paul's.
She's lined out in the last 2 games, and she's a former Donegal minor. She's a very, very young girl. She's only just out of minor ranks, but she's a very good player, Tom. And she's a considerable addition to the squad. She's also a free taker if needed.
Yeah.
So it's just coming right for the lads, and I would safely say that they will go to Mallow on Sunday with a full hand to choose from.
Yeah, well, that's superb heading into a final, isn't it?
Yeah, which hasn't happened with at least 12 months, because Lauren Ryan is out 12 months or more.
Yeah, well, that's a very fair point. Yeah, so a full deck to choose from is no harm at all at any time of year, particularly heading from this championship, which is obviously the immediate priority, but then also heading beyond that into the big All Ireland series.
It's interesting now, because games are going to be coming thick and fast, because after on Sunday week, Limerick travel to Kilkenny in the first round of the championship.
Yes.
And then you have Louth coming up in Limerick, now, which is going to be a huge game. Now, Louth won the Leinster Junior Championship over the weekend. They beat Carlow. It was close, mind you. But Louth is one of the key games. It's like we were talking earlier on about John Kiley targeting the Cork game. I think the lads will be really targeting the Louth game at home. Because Louth and Sligo and Limerick, no disrespect to Kilkenny and Derry, would appear to be on a 3-way battle to get the 2 semi-final spots.
Yeah, and you jump the head-to-head straight away. One of them would be a huge.
If you can get a victory over Louth in round 2, you're sailing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do you know who Louth are playing offhand in round 1? Are they playing in round 1 even?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see how they are set
up. I know everything, Tom.
Yeah, well, I knew that. Yeah. But anyway, remind us, so Mallow at the weekend, Sunday afternoon, at what time is drawing in?
At 12 noon.
12 noon, high noon. Pistols at, I wouldn't say dawn, pistols at noon maybe. So, and hopefully a bit of silverware and a nice confidence boost heading into the All Ireland series in June. Okay, best of luck.
Now, Tom, that's not all our ladies' football for the
Yeah,
weekend.
you have 14 under 14s, I believe.
On Saturday, the under 14s are playing in an All Ireland semi-final against Fermanagh in Moat in County Westmeath, and it's on at 1:00. Now, the All Ireland under 14 championship is divided into 4 groupings: platinum, gold, silver, and bronze.
Right.
We're taking part in the bronze semi-final
Very good.
against Fermanagh. Now, with a huge win over Wicklow in the quarter-final, Wicklow only scored 2-1. I think we scored something like 7-13 or 7-16.
Okay.
So, like, Lily Stokes from Drumbradford helped herself to 4 goals on the day. So we we've every hope, Tom, of reaching an All-Ireland final in the grade, which would be fantastic for the young girls and for the work of the management team and the effort that they have put into it. Like, if you reach an All-Ireland final in anything, Tom, you know, it takes a lot of work.
It does, and it puts on it puts a great, I suppose, a feeling in the group, and I'm sure a great feeling in everyone, and it reaffirms what you're doing is working to a degree anyway, you know.
Of course it does, and like if you see an under 14 team coming up, you know, it drives everybody, it lifts everybody on, you know. And wouldn't it be nice now to reach an All Ireland final on Saturday and win the Munster final on Sunday? Even though Graham Cheyne won't thank me one bit for saying it, our former manager, who is manager of Clare, of course, we forgot to mention that.
Of course,
but you know,
you're right.
Will Graham have the measure of Limerick? You know, from his time with Limerick, I don't know. We've just got to wait and see. But it wouldn't it be nice, a major boost for Limerick ladies footballers?
Yeah. There will be
Clare twice in the one day hurling and football.
Oh, geez, we wouldn't say no. We wouldn't say no. We were trying to count them up there last year when we were beating them and everything, you know.
Beating any team in the same day. I mean,
we haven't had that said, we haven't had a great record against Clare this year across
no,
the
certainly not, and haven't had a good record against them at underage level. No,
that's what I was thinking of more so than anything. Yeah. Okay, Matt, that's the ladies' football. So wishing the seniors and indeed the under 14s the best of the weekend, and hopefully, as Matt says, two victories, and we'll be looking forward into an All-Ireland final for the 14s hopefully, and we'll be heading into the All-Ireland Championship with a bit of silver under our belt for the junior side, or I call them the senior side, but you know what I mean, the adults side. Matt, moving to Camogie, I think next port to call. There may be a few eyes on Limerick and Cork at the weekend. We'll come to the game in a second. There may be a few eyes on it between now and then anyway, because Scart or no Scart, this will be decided on Thursday. It's a very hot topic, but Limerick are due to play Cork on Saturday. So what will change or what won't change between now and then? I put it to you as if you're going to know, Matt, but what's your feeling on this Scart vote that will happen?
My feeling is 100% that the girls should have choice. And I formulated that opinion long before this controversy erupted. And look, the Camogie Association and their delegates have it, you know, within their wisdom to make the right decision on Thursday, and it's up to them.
Yeah,
because there is a massive movement in favour of change.
Yeah, the worry I have is that it needs more than, I think we were saying the other day, is it 55 or 60%? I think 60% maybe.
Or is it 60 or 66%?
Or 66 even, yeah.
Yeah.
The worry I have is that is there a disconnect? Is there a disconnect between the players and the delegates? Is there going to disconnect between the clubs and the county board? I mean in every county, and you know, will this actually pass? And if it doesn't, Matt, I mean, it could be nuclear. It could be we could be in for a crazy weekend.
We could be in for a crazy weekend of no Camogie.
Yes, and headlines for all the wrong reasons.
I was just wondering, like, when I see Kilkenny and Dublin, you know, when they were asked to change, that they went to the dressing rooms and changed. Had Cork and Waterford lined up in the rag for the final, and they were asked to go in and change, I don't think they'd have done it.
No, they kind of made that known, and I think it was known. First of all, it was known that Cork and Waterford were not wouldn't change, so the decision was taken away from them by the game being moved.
Yeah,
But
so
kind of known.
that-
I think it was kind of known that Dublin and Kilkenny were going to This was a protest, but they weren't going
Yeah.
to. They weren't going to stop a game over it, so it's probably an understanding there.
It raises doubts in me about is there equal resolve right across the Camogie family for this change, and especially if there's either a 60 or a 66% majority required. It might be quite difficult to get. So, but it is absolutely ridiculous. This whole thing. Absolutely ridiculous. We're arguing about a paddle at a time when we're going in. But the provincial championships are already disrupted, and we're going into the All Ireland Series, and the delegates tomorrow night going to run the risk, and there's a serious risk, Tom, that if this doesn't go the right way for the players. Like that, you're going to have disruption at this weekend.
Yeah, and beyond, you could have players who refuse to play.
You can't be holding a congress every week.
No, you can't. Indeed not. You could have games that will not go ahead. You could have GPA statements. You could have county boards saying this thing and that thing, and there'll be players in the media. It'll be a testing weekend if it doesn't pass, and if it does pass, you kind of hope that everyone will come along together and maybe focus on other matters in the Camogie Association.
If it passes, Tom, there's choice.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in the dressing room with me, and this girl Josie is sitting in the dressing room with Biddy, and Josie wants to wear a skirt and Biddy wants to wear shorts, they're both entitled to do it. That's all they're asking for.
Yeah, I think maybe the last year the motions, having two different motions, probably. You kind of couldn't focus on one. There was one was getting rid of the skirt altogether, and then there was one would give the choice. So maybe now, just having focus on one, and it's a special Congress just for it as well, really sharpens the minds and sharpens the view on it. So look, that might see it passed over the line. But look, we'll have to wait and see. We'll know in about 2 days' time. Thursday evening, we'll have a white smoke, as they say. Assuming all goes to plan and Cork and Limerick are set to line up, Páirc Uí Rinn is the venue, 4 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. I'm not going to patronise Limerick here, Matt, but they are damn sure up against it here against the Rebels. There's no doubt about it. They're going to be very much playing second fiddle here to Cork, and I don't know how Limerick can come away from Páirc Uí Rinn happy on Saturday. I don't see them doing the unthinkable and winning. I don't know what Joe Quaid and company would deem success here in this encounter.
I don't know, and all it brings home to me is the foolishness and the fallacy that is the present format. Just to give listeners and viewers, we're in with Tipperary, Wexford, Clare, and Cork. That is our group. It's an extremely, extremely difficult group. I cannot understand why we don't have a Group A and a Group B like we have in the league. And, I quote this, the Limerick Championship, the Limerick Senior Hurling Championship format would be ideal for the Camogie Championship, the All-Ireland Camogie Championship, where you could have the top two teams, top team promoted, and the top two teams going through to quarterfinals. Because, Tom, I must bring it up again, Tom. We had one Saturday last year when there were 6 games played in the All-Ireland Senior Camogie Championship, and the average winning or losing margin, whichever way you want to look at it, was 25 points. Now,
and Limerick,
is there anybody that will tell me that is a competition fit for purpose? Now, you run the risk of the same thing happening this year. That because it would appear to me that Cork, Galway, Kilkenny, Tip are well ahead of the rest.
Yeah, maybe Waterford is just clinging on to their coattails.
Waterford threw a bit of a shape there, got to the All-Ireland final 2 years ago, suffered a very heavy defeat to Cork. But, the disparity in standards. Like, if you ever wanted a classical David and Goliath clash, it's Cork and Limerick next Saturday at 4 o'clock in Park Rin.
Yeah, and just for in the interest of kind of expanding your point, Matt, people will say, you know, maybe is Matt saying it because Limerick have recently struggled in these big games against the bigger teams. Limerick, I think, made 2 quarterfinals in 10 years since they got promoted in 2015 to 2024 will be 10 seasons at senior, and I think they made 2 quarterfinals and were kind of well beaten in one of them by Waterford, and were competitive in the other against Tipperary in 2019, I think it was. Yeah. But other than that, we didn't see much of Limerick or other counties of that ilk knocking on the door. You know, there was.
But then, Tom, we had a team, the nucleus of which was drawn from the immediate team that won the All Ireland in 2014, plus the minor team that won the All Ireland Minor A Championship in that year.
Yeah, but my point is, even when Limerick had perhaps their best team of a generation, or that they were still some distance at times, some distance behind the big three, the Galway, Kilkenny, and Cork.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So now when these counties maybe have, you know, regress, it's even more challenging for them. And Limerick are not alone. It's Offaly and Antrim and Down and Westmeath have they been up and down, and they've been knocked back and forward, and you know.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and Tom, I'm failing to grasp it. I you know, you know, red lights were flashing everywhere. Should have been flashing at Camogie headquarters last year when you had 6 games where the average winning margin was 25 points.
Yeah.
Like, if that didn't focus minds and say to ourselves, look, this format is not working. We've got to find an alternative. But no, we want more of the same. And you just wonder, what does it take to drum it into the powers that be, the bosses, that, you know, we need change.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what happens in this year's championship. It could bring it all to a head. Just on Limerick,
we'll be watching it in this medium.
Yeah, Limerick's league campaign was quite decent, and then, you know, did a lot better.
It was decent, Tom. You know, we won a couple of games. We were competitive. We were very unlucky not to beat Wexford. You know, with a decent game with Clare. But look, Look, the league, Tom, I have no beef at all with the way it is structured.
But just I'm coming on to Limerick.
In the top group, you have the next 6 in the second group.
Yeah.
That's fine. All I'm looking for is that to be replicated in the championship.
Yeah. Limerick will be hoping for green shoots here, I suppose, against Cork. That's what they need. They need a couple of players to show their worth and show that they're going to be, you know, quality at this level.
But you know, Joe Quaid lost 14 players at the start of the season. Like, his team very, very much in transition. You introducing a lot of young and new players, and when you know went to Thurles in the Munster Championship, got turned over by Tipperary. But like, there was a lot of positives, and Joe Quaid was quite happy, if you recall, Tom, when we interviewed him after the match, with some of the aspects of the game.
Yeah, not everything, of course, but yeah.
Not everything. He was happy with the resilience. He was happy with the way that the players emptied the tank and gave it everything, despite fighting a losing battle. And he certainly was happy with a lot of aspects of the Camogie as well.
That's it. Okay, so look, it's 4 p.m. this Saturday. We think at the moment anyway. Park Ciaran, yeah. So let's see how the ladies fare there. Obviously, the bigger talking point in the lead up will be, is it skirts or shorts, and what's going to be voted on. So look, we'll watch that one on Thursday, and we'll see then what comes with it the weekend. But it's the first day out for Limerick. It won't be the season defining one for sure. They'll have other opposition that is much more beatable than the Rebels on this occasion. Matt, anything else on our agenda for this week?
No, that's it. We've come to the stage now, Tom, where we're very, very near the concluding stages of the league. And now I know in the football leagues there was an awful lot of walkovers, but Some of those walkovers, Tom, were given at a stage when both were some dead rubbers, if you know,
Right.
they're at the end of the groups and things. But there was an inordinate amount of walkovers, an alarming amount of walkovers. But I was out at the final of the intermediate the other night between Galway and Skeeton, Ballysteen, Kilcorn, and a great game. Won by Galway in the finish by a point. They'd been 8 points up, and saw an absolutely, masterclass from David O'Shaughnessy, who was released by Jimmy Lee from the panel to play in the game. He scored 2-9.
Not too bad, though.
Well, no, it's great to see a player like him back, because he's been dogged by injury, but he's working his way back. He was named on the match day panel against London, but he was released to play this game to get game time, which was important, and by God did he grab it with both hands. But the senior football final is on this weekend, the Junior A Football League final. These are all county finals now.
Yes.
Monaleen and Father Casey's are through to the final now. Father Casey's are the holders. Tom, they won it last year. They beat Newcastle West in the final in Fianna. I was at it. So they're playing Monaleen this weekend. I think it's in Askeaton on Saturday evening. I'd be subject to correction on that.
Okay.
But it's the senior hurling in the divisions is coming to a conclusion. The Piercic have won in the city.
Cork in the west.
Cork in the west. Ahan in the east. And it's Kilmallock and Garrisplan on Thursday night in the south. Right. So that will give us a lineup for 2 senior hurling league semi-finals. And as somebody from Galway said to me the other night, I said, good preparation for the championship. He said it's only 5 weeks away.
Yeah, so the football championship is probably starting on the Thursday/Friday, the 19th of June.
Yeah.
Thursday the 19th, 20th that weekend, and there's 3 rounds back to back. Now the only thing that would hold that up is Limerick's progression in the Tailteann Cup, which we have obviously secured already, and it depends where Limerick will wash out of it. So you could see some competition starting with some of the games and not others, obviously depending on.
In fairness, when it comes to the county team, there's a fair spread now of players.
There is. Nearly every senior club is represented on the county team. I think. Nearly every good few of the intermediate clubs and down the grades.
Like you've would say Askeaton, Ballysteen now with Danny Neville, David O'Shaughnessy. There's if you go through it, there's quite a few players. From intermediate teams.
Yeah, there isn't too many beyond that. It's nearly all senior and intermediate clubs.
It won't affect the junior championships.
No, that's it. Of course, some clubs won't play second teams until senior games and all this sort of stuff. But look, that's for the county board to work out now as fixtures need to be planned around the senior team.
Above our pay grade, Tom.
Above our pay grade is right. Okay, Matt, I think that's it. I think everyone else listen. If you're still awake, if you're still there, thanks for tuning in. If you listen to Ciaran and Donie, we could listen to them all day anyway, that's for sure. We will be talking to you next weekend. Hopefully we'll be talking about another Limerick win, and we're looking at ladies football. Hopefully a success over Clare, the senior hurlers against Clare, the 14s girls, some minor Celtic Challenge and Master. So we'll be looking at
the greatest miracle since Fatima, we win the Camogie.
Yeah. Indeed not. Right. Okay. Thanks a million, Matt. It's long fall.
Cheers, Tom. Thanks.
This is Barry Nash. Cian Lynch again, given a lot of space. The diagonal ball is heading towards the corner. It has the momentum, but it's just about clipped in beautifully. Nice stick work. Good hands. Trying to get inside. Aaron Galay. Beautiful turn. Acres of space he has inside if he wants him. A colleague. Here comes Aaron Galay.